Okay, we can now continue with the testing. What we'll do is we'll start by testing the E&M. So if we look here, we go microphone output, E&M input, and we have to set our device, our test instrument for neg 10, and here we go. Okay, we are initially showing 0 dB, 0% distortion. We'll change our filter to 15 kilohertz for our 300, 1 kilohertz and 3 kilohertz test. Go back to audio generator, we change to 3 kilohertz. 3 kilohertz. There we go, neg 0.2, and then 300 hertz, 0 dBm. Alright, now we have to change to the voice recorder, but of course for the voice recorder we need to connect 600 ohm termination, start back at 1 kilohertz. Now let's test 3 kilohertz. Awesome, now 300 hertz. Great stuff. Okay, our previous test we were testing the main unit. Now we'll move over and do the same test on the remote unit. Of course, we're just testing the audio side. The record side is irrelevant on the remote, so we'll remove the 600 ohms, move from voice recorder back to microphone output, and let's see what our level readings are from the remote. There we go, 0.1. Let's check levels at 3 kilohertz. That's fine, that's acceptable. 300 hertz. There we go. So that's the remote testing E&M in to microphone or speaker out. Okay, we've now concluded that leg of the test. So now we need to test our headset to E&M out. So microphone back into the main unit. We've changed the cabling in that we are now going microphone in to E&M out. We now of course have to change our level from neg 10 to neg 25. Let's go to level neg 25 dBm at 1 kilohertz. And of course now microphone out being recorded and E&M out, we need to terminate to 600 ohms, something not to forget. Alright, let's start mic PTT and see what we get. And life should return to normal. There we go. Remember to change the frequency. So 9.9. We go 3 kilohertz. That's neg 10. 300 hertz. We have got. There we go. Right. Let's go back to 1 kilohertz. All great. Okay. So that's now testing the E&M out. Let's do the same for voice recorder. So we now move over to the voice recorder, keep 600 ohms intact there, and we're starting with 0 dB, which is the output we expect. And we now want to go over to testing at 3 kilohertz, neg 0.1, which is fine, and then 300 hertz, neg 0.1, which is fine. Okay, that concludes that leg of the test of the main unit. We'll now move over to setup for the remote unit. Okay, we've now moved the microphone cable from the main unit back to the remote. All that remains intact, so we can now start our PTT. And we have got neg 10 dBm at 1 kilohertz. We can now move over to testing at 3 kilohertz, neg 10.2, quite acceptable, and at 300 hertz, which is neg 10.1. That's fine. Okay, it's back to 1 kilohertz, and then we will now move over to test our voice recorder, which is at 0 dB, should be. Keep transmitting. We're still at 1 kilohertz, and we're 0 dBm, which is good. And then, of course, we remember keep our 600 ohm termination, that remains. And here we go, we test 3 kilohertz, and we have got neg 0.3 dBm, and then at 300 hertz we have neg 0.1 dBm, which is fine. Okay, that essentially 1 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz. There we go. That concludes our test of the remote unit. Right, so basically the key elements to remember is that when we're testing the ENM incoming, it's at neg 10 dBm, and we remember that we only terminate to 600 ohm on the recorder out during those tests. However, for the when we're testing the headset microphone, instead of neg 10, we have a neg 25 input, and your 600 ohms termination will remain for the duration of the test on AC input, which of course is your ENM out, as well as your recorder out, which needs to be terminated at 600 ohms. And that concludes the tests.